Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome to Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 7.
Saison 7, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
And in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, hello and welcome to this new Comme d'Archi podcast, a short, timely segment rooted in the present, but also in more gentleness amidst raw news, where some bloodthirsty leaders try to manipulate public opinion as if we were fools. At a time when we can question the future of soil littered with bodies or weapon debris in still free or partially free zones. In this brutal world. Why? A sort of anachronism of the present time? À misattribution? Maybe it would be wiser to get ahead of things and switch over to a recycling business that specializes in weaponry. So many potential battlefields are hanging over our heads, maybe almost everywhere. I still say how lucky we are to be able to repair things here in peacetime, while not far away clash and destruction are raging. So, let's enjoy the present. As long as it's somewhat gentle and restorative, even if we don't really realize it. Let's hope it lasts peace. And this is where we're taking you today, to the heart of a symbolic Parisian operation, unveiled during the press conference of the 16th of January 2026, entitled Coeur Paris, a press conference held at the Climate Academy. Here, there's no question of regurgitating word for word the over 40,000 characters of the extensively documented press kit, nor of distilling it into a 100% sugary version, but rather to offer an architectural, contextualized, and resolutely enthusiastic take on the project. Because the subject is globally praiseworthy, virtuous, and exceptional. But also to offer some critical reading on a peripheral theme about the surrounding arguments, otherwise, what's the point? Not a critique of the teams who invested heavily, and it's simply in the DNA of the Reinvented project, calls to demand nearly limitless investment, which has already been denounced, by the way, but just factually critical of a grey area around it, because there is some shade, but not on the side of the remarkable team, nor the project. I repeat myself to avoid being misunderstood. First of all, this project is based on a political will, the third Reinventing Paris call for projects in 2021-2022. I quote Basile de la Corne in Bâti Actu of the 9th of February 2021. Taking advantage of a favorable context, with the anticipated drop in demand for offices, the city of Paris is launching a call for projects specifically dedicated to the transformation of offices into housing. The health crisis and its consequences could be a formidable accelerator for the cliché that is the transformation of offices into housing in Paris. This was stated by Emmanuel Grégoire, first deputy to the mayor on February 9, when officially launching the third edition of Reinventing Paris. End of quote. I'll leave the political aspect to the listener's appreciation, just wanting to point out that I still hate this trendy word, reinvented, used all the time. We hear it almost every day, and which I find incredibly pretentious. In my opinion, it demonstrates not a desire for a break, but a desire to symbolically erase the past when it's just building on what's already there. Besides, what follows demonstrates this more than anything. A kind of contradiction, in my opinion, that amounts to imposture. There, I'm asking the question. My humble brain dares to ask this question. As a communicator, I would have advised staying more reserved, more factual about the use of this term around the project, and why not redefine a finer, more precise terminology. In short, sometimes you can't do what you want. But let's focus instead on the substance of the project, that of Coeur Paris, and perhaps try to measure the amount of heart it actually contains. Because behind it, teams have long invested their intelligence and energy, and it's towards that and their project that our interest is directed. Cœur Paris, or the Heart of Paris in English, is a 27,000 square meter mission-driven building slated for possible delivery in 2028. Located in the former headquarters of the APHP, Assistance Publique Hôpitaux de Paris. There, in 2022, after 30 months of temporary occupation as recounted by Alexandre Jaussimao Crespo, Head of General Coordination for the Arches Citoyennes at Plateau Urbain, the operational entity for temporary use. The project, therefore, will begin construction in early 2026. It is led by BNP Paribas Real Estate, Apsis, and RATP Solutionville with several architectural firms. Dominique Perrault Architecture, H2O Architects, Martinez Barala Forêt, Nicolas Dorval Bory, and Atelier Roberta Landscape Architects. Located in the heart of Paris, it is part of a district undergoing major cultural and urban change. Originally, the Victoria Block, which corresponds to the project area, was designed by two renowned architects of the Second Empire, Henri Labrouste, who designed the central building according to Haussmannian principle, cut stone, maximum height of 6 floors, but also Victor Baltard, who created the design for the two corner buildings, former apartment buildings. The project is located on Avenue Victoria, created in 1854 as part of Haussmann's major works and named in honor of Queen Victoria's visit to France in 1855. And it is quite clear that the rehabilitation operation is about to bring to light the great qualities of the original site through several means: the removal of false ceilings and floor coverings to reveal the historic parquet floors, woodwork, and historic porches. The repaving of the courtyard, the insertion of windows in the zinc roof in the original spirit of Parisian rooflines. Thus, it is indeed a supporting architecture for the architects of the new project. The project also corrects the main flaw of Haussmannian architecture, the lack of porosity between exterior and interior, through targeted and specific architectural gestures, such as a new hall. Created on Avenue Victoria, becoming the site's main entrance and a showcase for future users. 2 terraces set into the infill gaps created by the juxtaposition of the buildings, offering stunning views of the Ile de la Cité city, but also walkways that improve the quality of the housing and create a link between the buildings, with vegetation to mitigate the effect of being overlooked. And finally, a centerpiece, a chamber-style wooden staircase. designed by Dominique Perrault, providing access to the Saint-Martin office while freeing up space inside the building and leading to a magnificent belvedere. On these last points, we are in the presence of an architectural graft. This chambord-type staircase is obviously the centerpiece, as we've already pointed out, and the transposition of an ingenious architectural device from one era to another, from one original material, stone, to another, wood. Dominique Perrault says, I quote, "Our reading was critical in the context of regeneration, pointing out the encroachment over time. We made a reduction to highlight the Haussmannian." The development of the wooden double-flight staircase represents a challenge for the companion's craft tradition. It leads to a terrace to enjoy the silhouette of the roofs. End of quote. The rehabilitation approach, based on targeted and light interventions, ensures the project's restraint. 90% conservation of the existing envelope. It's about committing to a low-carbon transition. The work also reinforces the environmental qualities of the Haussmannian building. The insulating properties of the stone for temperature and humidity are, for example, enhanced by biosourced insulators. The consortium wanted to make Coeur Paris a benchmark site for low-carbon renovation. The building is undergoing an exemplary energy renovation with consumption reductions of around 50% by 2040 compared to the 2013 reference year tertiary decree for offices. Its cooling and heating system is connected to the Parisian heating and cooling network. The project is designed to maximize thermal comfort in the building for controlled use of air conditioning, thanks to biosourced insulation, solar protection, and air circulators. On a site that is currently waterproofed, the consortium aims to reintroduce green space. Finally, the renovation of Coeur Paris is part of a circular economy approach with a material reuse strategy. In summary, the update relies on contemporary, reversible graft, notably through walkways to improve accessibility, uses, and continuity. The program is mixed-use: offices, social housing, specific housing for young people and women in difficulty, and a base of services open to all: mobility, social and solidarity economy, and commerce. Let's now look at the DNA of the exceptional. The very heart of Paris was the star of the 2024 Olympic Games, especially during the opening ceremony, recalling the moment the project was unveiled with, among other things, 1 billion viewers worldwide, thanks to the television broadcast. For my part, reasonably, I believe Paris didn't wait for this staging to become the city of light. By the way, an aside, thanks to Céline Dion for her historic appearance at the 2024 Olympic Games event, her very special and courageous performance. Céline Dion, by far the best from the top of the Eiffel Tower for a long time in her category. And I think that there she did a lot to boost Paris' image. The rest was a bit controversial though. Acide. I prefer to emphasize that the project we are focusing on today is indeed spot on for this centrality unique in the world, exceptional because the site is among the most accessible in France. Did you know that 6.4 million Île-de-France residents can get to Coeur Paris in less than 45 minutes by public transport? Well, for those who can use this public transport, the Grand Paris Express will also extend this coverage to areas still far from the center of Paris, especially in the outer suburbs. Anyway, Let's also skip over the part about the Seine and swimming, which turned out to be expensive and is currently controversial. The operators also point out that the project is at the heart of the, quote, Parisian Volorution. Today, nearly 15% of trips within inner Paris are made by bicycle, he points out. This share is expected to double in the next 15 years, he specifies. Coeur Paris is located 100 meters from the intersection of the two busiest cycle paths in France. In 2025, the Boulevard de Sébastopol is the most used section of Grand Paris with 15,000 trips per day, just ahead of the Rue de Rivoli with 12,500 trips. Indeed, these two arteries have, as you know, been redeveloped to favor bicycle travel. The operator add that it is a very lively pedestrian meeting area as the district includes major pedestrian traffic locations. Apparently, more than 40,000 trips per day along the Rue de Rivoli. In the busiest and most accessible district of the capital region, Coeur Paris offers an island of respite and calm in immediate proximity to urban intensity and 50 meters from the urban forest of the Hôtel de Ville and the banks of the Seine. An island of calm, I'm willing to believe it. Because here, allow me to point out this grey area compelled by a desire for humanity and for the sake of progress. Not addressing the team or the project's intentions, of course, but factually, regarding the development, the surrounding development is somewhat contradictory, and this between the all-bike policy and pedestrian traffic. Have you tried before 9 May to cross these two arteries as a pedestrian obediently on the dedicated crosswalks? If you're healthy, you'll manage it at best in a few minutes, and with a few cold sweats, a cyclist feels so empowered these days, as if the aggressiveness of the motor vehicle driver towards the cyclist was transferred from the cyclist to the pedestrian. Because of this, the mix of wheels and pedestrians doesn't work, in my opinion. Sorry to have to note and point this out. Given the spatial porosities, it is dangerous for children, the elderly, people with disabilities, even cyclists and pedestrians, obviously. So maybe unless we start issuing citations and punishing on the biggest possible scale all the disrespectful or even enraged cyclists who are proliferating in this spot, in the public space, the place is only going to become even more unlivable, because it's a mix that exclude, and that, by the way, I do not accept. Should we at least recall the headline in the Sports Daily L'Équipe on the 16th of November 2025? The dizzying rise of cycling in the capital has come with an increase in accidents, sometimes fatal, which is logical, and then there are seniors, people with disabilities. They don't have the means, far from it, to travel by taxi. Obviously, I suppose some will never acknowledge what I'm taking the liberty of pointing out. However, I appeal to the truly responsible actors who will manage this mobility for the coming years. I remember being told on other similar Parisian urban issues that safety was a matter of individual responsibility and good manners. In view of the culture of excuses, the weakness in education, and the reign of individualism, I doubt that everyone is making progress in civility, and let's stop being in denial. So what can be done? Redesign when the coffers are empty? Educate without resources? Or punish, and punish incivility again? Or let it be, continuing to inevitably exclude? I am only asking questions. In the historical continuity of a place dedicated to public hospitality, the project itself claims the status of the first Parisian mission-driven building. It recalls the site's social roots since the 16th century, its establishment opposite the City Hall in the 19th century. Then, its evolution until the sale announced in 2018. The project is part of a 90-year building lease with a citizen-focused program. Social mission, housing, social and solidarity economy, services, solidarity-based commerce, and environmental mission, héritage préservation, énergie rénovation, and low carbon. With all due nuance, we salute the humanity gently injected here by the sponsors and designers of this remarkable-looking project. Let's hope with all our hearts that it will not be thwarted in the future, this humanity, by demagoguery and contradictions, the ambient hyper-aggressiveness. True, there's a lot of office space here, when there's already a lot, even way too much, in the Île-de-France region. But the geographical location justifies it, the act of rehabilitation allows it, and the necessary financing for the case requires it. Money doesn't fall from the sky, and if it's to save this historic island, then yes. See you in 2028 for the delivery of this grafted heart, and maybe in 10 years to confirm that this grafted has taken and to fully gauge its impact in use. Dear listeners, thank you for your attention. See you next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Chers auditeurs, merci pour votre écoute. N'oubliez pas de retrouver nos sujets en avant-première sur Instagram à l'adresse @commedarchipodcast. Si vous aimez ce podcast, favorisez sa diffusion en lui donnant 5 étoiles sur Apple Podcast, plus un petit commentaire, ou sur votre plateforme de podcast favorite. Et surtout, abonnez-vous pour écouter tous nos épisodes gratuitement. À bientôt, et d'ici là, prenez soin de vous.